Whiskey fam. It's time to sit down, grab a dram, and listen to the soothing sounds of your boy Whiskey One talk a little whiskey with Michael Myers. How you doing, Michael?
I'm great, Israel. How are you?
Doing awesome. So Michael is the owner of Distillery 291 based out of Colorado Springs, and I had to reach out to him and see if he'd like to talk about an upcoming release that he has. So, Michael, why don't you take it away and let us know what's going on?
Yeah, thank you. Great to be with you and everybody listening. We are releasing Ram Skull. It's not a, this batch is a new whiskey, but it's not a new recipe. It's actually our mistake recipe that was made when I was in 7,000 square feet, probably close to 11 years ago, maybe even 12. Um, but it's had a few names along the way, and it's a high rye bourbon. Um, and originally it was called HR for high rye, and it's kind of been a funny marketing thing because HR didn't do that great. Like nobody was excited about that name, I think, and we put it out at a certain time at a little different price range than either our small batch at the time and our higher price, and it just kind of sat on the shelf and was frustrating. And so there's been quite a few years of me thinking about changing the name. And
Okay, gotcha.
yeah, and so last year, a little earlier in the year, I decided to call it Bighorn. I've owned bighornbourbon.com or coloradobighornbourbon.com since 2011. Actually, like May 2011, before I ever made whiskey, I was building the distillery in the 300 square foot space, and thought, Bighorn would be a great name for Colorado, for a Colorado whiskey. And so I didn't want to trademark it immediately because, you know, I didn't know if I was going to use it or not. And I thought if I held the, .com, I'd be fine. And so we released Bighorn, and in Bighorn, the R or the H and the R are capitalized. Obviously, H because it's the first letter in the word, but in homage to HR. And so I don't know, February, I think, somewhere like that. I got a cease and desist letter um, saying that someone owned the trademark of Bighorn in the whiskey space. And I'm like, what? And so I looked it up, looked the company up, and came across their trademark, and they had trademarked it in 2009. I could not find cola anywhere. Um, and you usually have to be in commerce with your product to be able to trademark it. And so, but there was no offer to buy it or anything like that. And I didn't really want to go down that road anyway. And so um, I told them I would stop, using it, but I did have bottles on the shelf that were still Bighorn. And they were like, that's fine. As long as once you finish selling through it, you turn in the cola for it. And I'm like, sure, no problem. And so then it came, we needed another batch. This whiskey was coming up, finished, due. And I started thinking, and I kind of was like, around Bighorn, about, around a Ram and all that kind of stuff. My Dodge truck is a Ram, 84 Dodge truck that I drive all the time. Says it's the 291 truck. And um, so I don't know, I went looking for a picture of a Ram that I could draw or do something with. Um, and I came across a cool picture, and um, played around with it and drew a little bit, and then put it in Chat GPT and came out with Ram Skull. And
Which I'm a big fan of that logo, honestly. Well, the labels in general are pretty cool. They have that rustic, weathered look, but the foil, right? Either the lettering or the logos are in that gold foil and it really stands out.
Yeah, it's letter pressed, which we do here in the distillery. We have a 1940 letterpress machine. The man Charles has been pressing my labels since day one, originally in his garage, and he was looking to semi-retire, and he knew we were moving into this bigger space. We're in 16,000 square feet now, and he's like, would you think about like putting one of them in your distillery, and I'll just come from California. I'm going to move out there and come when you need labels or whatever you need, pressed. And I'm like, sure, that'd be awesome. So he comes in for a couple of weeks at a time and presses all the labels we need and cards and things like that. So it's been a really great partnership in that way. And it's really cool when the machine's running and people are on tour. They're just like, no way.
Right, right.
So,
I
yeah,
remember visiting you guys, I think it was at least a year or two ago, and Emily um, shared the story of Charles. And I think at one point she told me, or she told us, that Charles was actually sleeping at the distillery or something like that for maybe a week or two to help with the press. And I thought that's kind
yeah,
of curious, and actually showed me the area that he was doing the work. And I thought that
yeah.
was a pretty cool story.
he,
Um,
he he's kind of a hippie. He comes in, yoga guy, really fit, and he comes in and he actually I sleeps in his car. Not, I don't think all the time. I think he has friends and stuff, but there's a couple of nights where he sleeps in his car, which is like a Prius, and he's like my height, 6'2", maybe even a little taller. I'm like, wow. So, but yeah, so it's been a really nice release, or we released it yesterday,
right, right.
and
You guys had
it's
like
on
a
our
band playing and everything, right?
yeah, we did, and it's on our website, and we sold quite a few bottles. There's 716 bottles of this batch. It's mistake whiskey. It was Eric Jett was just starting with me freelance, and it was either his first or second mash in, and he asked me about the recipe for our bourbon, and I told him to uh, an amount of rye to use, and I think I told him the total for the day because he had two mash-ins to do, and he thought it was the amount that went into one mash, so he doubled the rye. And at the end of the day, he was putting numbers together, and he's like, these numbers don't match. And I'm like, yeah, well, you doubled the rye. He's like, well, you told me to. I'm like, well, yeah, I sort of did. And, we let it ferment. And then a week later, we ran it and it came off the still, moonshine, white dog, whatever you want to call it, new make. And that new make was phenomenal. And we're like, well, that worked. And so we put it in barrel, and a few barrels at the time. We were smaller production, and in a year, 18 months, tasted it and was like, it's really good. And then we bottled it as HR, and
As
then it
HR.
became Bighorn.
Well, I gotta
And
say,
then,
I have a bottle of HR. I've had
yeah,
a few bottles of HR, and it happened to be a favorite of mine. So the fact that you're sharing that this is technically sort of an evolution of the HR branding is kind of
yeah,
cool. At least I know I've had a chance to try what it might taste like.
yeah, and exactly, it's the same recipe, and obviously different barrels. It's a little older than HR's been in the past. Bighorn was older as well. Um,
Do you
but
want
it's
to
a
do you want to share any details on the mash bill, like what the percentage of rye
um,
or any of the age
yeah.
statement?
So yeah, the mash bill is 61% corn, which is really funny because my my rye is 61% rye, my regular rye that I make. But we didn't plan on that. But 61% corn and 38% malt rye, and then 1% malt barley.
Okay,
Uh,
great.
so yeah, it's kind of funny that it's kind of similar to that. And the tasting notes are dried stone fruit, cinnamon, nutmeg, spices, uh, Virginia. This is Eric Jet word. Virginia tobacco, um, butterscotch candies, and marzipan. It's a really pretty whiskey. It's 130.3 proof for this batch. Um, I think Bighorn was 133.8. I did a tasting yesterday of the last batch of HR, the one and only batch of Bighorn, and then Ram Skull, and HR was good, um, and it's a very balanced bourbon, and so HR was good out of the three, and then Bighorn's really special and really good, and Ram Skull. Yesterday, I went back and forth between Bighorn or Ram Skull, and today I'm drinking a little while we're here, and I like to drink it in a tall glass. I'm not a big Glencairn. I like the chimney effect.
Yeah, not a traditionalist.
No, not at all.
Ben, you look like you probably drink more than I do then in that.
So it's a really, I mean, today, your palate always changes and stuff. I'm like sitting here going, this is really damn good. So excited about it a lot.
Me too. I'm actually very excited to go to Colorado next month, so I'll be swinging by and seeing you guys for sure.
Great.
So, so for those watching though, if they're not going to Colorado or not in Colorado, what's the best way to find some of the Ram Skull?
So e-commerce, it's on e-commerce. The sad thing is we're not able to ship to all states. We're not even able to ship into Colorado. Uh, so
Interesting.
it's a three-tier legal system, right, for alcohol. So we have to sell to a distributor. It sells to one in California and one in New York, and they sell it to a retailer that ships, across the United States. Um, uh, Colorado is not a DTC state, but there's other states that we can and cannot ship to. So
Gotcha.
hopefully, your listeners either have a friend in a state that can ship if they're in a state that they can't receive it, things like that. So, or
Gotcha.
come to Colorado,
Which is always fun. And
yeah,
visiting you guys at the distillery is always a great experience. You guys have a nice, warm, and welcoming bar, and then that lounge area is pretty cool. And usually has a band. Usually at the more the nighttime scenery, right?
yeah. And yesterday with the release, we had a great uh, bluegrass band that was really, really good. And a big release. A lot of people, a lot of fun. Yeah, very nice.
Great. Well, I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna do a little salesmanship here. So yes, I'm enjoying a little single barrel proof here from you guys, but I am also enjoying a barrel pick, or I will be later
Yes.
because this is a fresh cork pop. I actually killed my last bottle. It's the Colorado bourbon. Now this one was aged in a 30-gallon barrel. You may or may not remember this, but it was I think your first 30-gallon barrel pick and myself, a couple others from the Whiskey Society, the Albuquerque Whiskey Society, came and picked this one after trying about at least 7 or 8 different single barrels. And this is the one that we landed on. I thought this was a pretty special one, and we all kind of really enjoyed that one. So, as you could tell, now starting with a new bottle, I'm going to be tapping into it with some friends. So,
Yeah, I remember your barrel. That's a barrel, nice pick. And I remember it being the first 30-gallon. Um, but yeah, also any of your listeners interested in doing a barrel pick, hit us up. We can tell you how we do it. You have to pick it up in person. We can't ship it. If we ship it, it has to go to a retail store. And so then you're paying a lot more for the whiskey. So
gotcha.
it probably works out better to, take a trip and pick it up.
Yep. And I'm gonna do a quick plug. Sealbox might be a great online third party that can do your single barrel release. we had to well, we run into the same issue, right? Like we can't actually sell the stuff ourselves. We're not licensed, but we worked with Sealbox and they were very amenable and helped us out. So that might be something for any of you guys interested in doing a barrel pick with 291. But with that being said, I want to commend you on this latest release. Like I said, I'll be going to Colorado and getting a bottle for myself and seeing what it has to offer. I'm a huge high rye fan, so I'm really excited for that. So, and thank you for coming to our, our channel and talking a little bit about your upcoming release.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, and always great talking to you, seeing you. So
Thank you.
thank you.
I appreciate that. All right. So for those of you guys stuck around and watched the entire video, thanks for sticking around. Subscribe and check out 291. These guys make some great whiskey. Here at Whiskey One, it's about the one you enjoy. Cheers.